Hello, my friends. It's a Saturday special. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on a really good friend of mine. His name is Dennis Pitocco, and Dennis has one of the world's largest content, call it a blog, if you will. I'm going to let him explain a little bit more, but folks, there's over 24,000 articles in this blog. He has writers from all over the world giving excellent content, gets over 2.5 million visitors a year, and Dennis, I'm so excited and honored that I'm one of those contributors. I think I've been working with you on content for almost a decade.
Yep.
I thought, I want to bring you on and talk about, your platform, because it's truly amazing. You've made some acquisitions and, added to the platform. But tell us a little bit about 360 Nation.
I will. Thanks, Ray. And just to your point, we've been around almost a decade now, and you were one of our first writers. So you've kind of seen us go from little to the big elephant in the room along the way. And along the way we evolve. So right now, everything we do, Ray, is under an umbrella brand of 360 Nation, and that really encompasses our operating ethos, what we do, what we believe in, how we do what we do. But underneath 360 Nation is our original website, which is bizcatalyst360.com. Again, the one that's been around almost a decade. Last year, we launched another division, which is 360 Nation Studios. And we did that to launch our very first production, which happened at the end of the year, Ray, and you were part of that. It was called Hope Fest 360. And that was an 8-hour production that we launched on New Year's Eve on YouTube. I'm happy to say that's had over 28,000 visits so far from 68 countries. And then a couple years back, we launched our other labor of love that a lot of people don't know about, but it's also under 360 Nation, and it's called Good Works 360. And it is what we call our social enterprise division, which means we do free consulting for nonprofits around the world.
Wow.
So you've got those three things going. Underneath that is a whole lot of stuff. You mentioned the stuff. Again, over 24,000 articles. We've got over 800 writers. And we are not advertiser supported. I bring that up because that makes us somewhat unique. We've been blessed from day one to do everything we do simply for good versus for profit. So it's given us the ability to just act and react and build and twist and turn without having to go to a board of directors, advertisers, and particularly these days when there's a lot of sensitivity out there to the media. We do what makes sense and what's good for our writers and our audience versus playing to a certain audience when we publish. So that is a large overview of what we do. A lot of little pieces, Ray, but that covers it.
Well, Dennis, I got to ask you a question because you've been doing this for over a decade. So, and I know you're not advertised funded, but how do you fund yourself? I mean,
there's no economics involved. This really is, and I say this because a lot of people don't believe it. Mm-hmm. It is, the best way to describe it, it's not an occupation, it's an occupation.
Okay.
Which means it's never been about economics. Let's just call it a hobby that grew into something much bigger than I ever expected when we were starting to build this, because we had a vision of what we wanted to do versus being driven by making certain targets. So, and we've been able, and again, blessed to be able to say that we've never had to go back and try and figure out a way to do what most websites do versus particularly big ones, and that is monetize it. There are no economics. Our time is donated. Our talent comes from people like you that write for us. And we've just grown organically.
Well, it's an amazing story, and your platform is just, it's global. The writers on there are phenomenal writers from all over the world. I know you have Facebook, blog. How many LinkedIn groups do you have? I think last time
we've been with LinkedIn almost from the start. We've grown over 32 groups with about 250,000 members. Facebook, we've got a group with over 20,000 members, and we're everywhere else, but those are the two big kahunas when it comes to volume.
Well, it's amazing because a lot of the writers, from your 360 Nation are actually, they support at the end of the day with Ray. I see him on there a lot, and
yes,
you see the content's really phenomenal that's out there because it's really from all aspects of the world. from all political views of the world. It's unedited, it's unfiltered, it's just great content for people to help change people's lives or maybe inspire them to do something with their life. And it's just a fantastic thing. And I just kudos off to you, Dennis, because it's, not looking at how you can make it profitable for yourself, but how you can make it profitable for the community.
You just brought up some good points, because over the last year, Ray, and I know you know this, we've all seen it, there's been a lot of talk of censorship out there in the media, no matter what form of media. And we didn't really understand the value of us being able to do what made sense versus what makes sense to advertisers or other people until the sensitivity to media and censorship came up. Our editorial policy, somebody asked us about a year ago, what's our bias? Which was an interesting question because we had never been asked that. And we thought about it and said, the only bias we have is one for action, which means we want our writers to deliver quality, the kind of content that if I read something Ray has written, I can leave that article and go do something with that knowledge. So we want our writers to equip people. And the only criteria we have for writing is we don't do breaking news, so we don't do the best of 2021. We want everything to be evergreen, which means if you read it today and you read it a few years down the road, it's still relevant. And it's got to be respectful, because we do have some writers doing what I'll call some opinion pieces, and we'll publish them regardless of what side of the aisle they're on or where they're coming from. But it's got to be respectful.
Sure.
And with those three things, that allows us to say to people like you, Ray, if you can write, spread your wings and write. It doesn't matter how long it is, how many words, how often, what the topic is, because we now have a home for everything, as long as the criteria meets those three things. And that has given writers the energy to just truly drop out of their normal comfort zones, like people that used to write about human resources or sales and marketing. They're now writing about life and culture and things that are important to them. They still write about their business, but less so. So that's really fueled our growth, to give writers that freedom. And we contrast that with the rules and the bureaucracy that they are up against when they write for other publications like Forbes, like Huffington Post. And they've told me what these rules are, and it's just remarkable. It's the kind of rules that would give you a writer's block.
No, you're right. Well, with technology today, and this goes back even when you started this thing, almost 10 years ago, it's just, there's so many venues out there that allow people to take their creativity and get it published for the world to see it. Things have changed so drastically in that respect. And your platform, obviously, with 24,000 articles, 800 writers from around the world. Dennis, let me ask you a quick question. So if I want to contribute to you, I can just reach out to you through the website?
Yes, the best thing to do is to connect with me on LinkedIn, because you can see everything we do right there. It links over to our site, and my email address is readily available on LinkedIn. So it's, Dennis Pitocco on LinkedIn, Pitocco. And reach out, tell me you're interested, and we'll take it from there.
I'll put a tag and connect and put a link
to
the
thanks.
website on the video.
Thanks.
Because it is an amazing story, folks. And if you're a writer out there and you want a place to put your creativity for the world to see, reach out to Dennis. It's a phenomenal platform. Dennis, it's always great talking to you, and I look forward to getting together with you again. I'm going down to Florida. I won't be able to make it this time to see you, but next time for sure. Because, Dennis, we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks, Dennis.
You're welcome.